and then I do the scissor cut, which I told you offline. And wow, I stumbled over all those. It's almost like Luke Daniels was looking at me doing that part. And I was like,
I thought you did great. I
dude,
thought
I'm
you
like,
did
wait,
great.
I'm turning
No,
red.
I
Like
was
that's a
just
word.
listening to your voice to try to figure out if I can use you as a character. That's all.
Okay. Well, if you do, you're just gonna have to let me know because it's maybe I'll hear it and I'll be like, hey, that's me. That's me. That's me.
That's me.
All
Yeah.
right.
Uh,
So we do have some questions and some comments. Some of our moderators have gathered some of our questions in the live stream with us. We have a handful of people that I already saw. I asked a question, then right afterwards they asked the same question. I was like, they didn't recognize there's a stream delay. Oh, so Twitch. So Twitch is usually known for people playing video games, but it's branched out to do a bunch of other things. And so as I talked to you, we were doing I wanted to do a podcast, but I also wanted to do the live streaming. And I thought, how cool would it be for people to see a podcast as it's being created and be able to see the people in the podcast? And I was like, I think that would be super cool, especially with the the interview fashion and the genre of authors and game designers and narrators and actors to be on there. It was something kind of new and different. I thought that would be really cool. So that is a little bit different than your normal watch me play video games, which I also do on Twitch. So
well, I've been playing video games the whole time. I don't know if you've noticed, but
oh,
I'm actually playing right now.
that explains a lot. All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
So really, you're just
So
playing the voices from the video game. Those weren't actually
yeah,
you
that's how I
talking.
record. Yeah, exactly. I am a video. This is an avatar, actually. I'm not
Oh
Amy
wow,
here.
man,
Yeah,
you must
yeah.
have paid big bucks for that one. It looks so realistic.
Yeah. You should see me in real life. I'm all pixelated. It's
Oh,
terrible.
okay.
Very low res. Yeah.
Uh, do you go back and read any of the books you had created an audiobook for leisure purposes?
Nope.
Nope. I was like, I'm pretty sure I don't know that one. Do you?
One and done. I do go back and listen sometimes, though, not to the whole book, but I'll be like, if a book comes out that I was like, oh, that was a cool book, I'll just take a listen to a couple things and remind
Yeah.
myself. But yeah, no.
References for voices and stuff like that.
References for voices, but also just like, how did that turn out? I remember that being kind of cool, and then listening and going, yeah, that sounds good, or oh yeah, no, I was wrong, that was terrible. But no,
Do you listen to other
no,
audiobooks at all, or do you just stay away from the whole thing?
I used to. But it's again like the reading. It just
Right.
feels like work to me.
Yeah.
I do though. Like if I were driving, I would listen to them. But I never drive anywhere because I work from home. So
Right.
I don't really have opportunity. But a lot of times, like I'm going to direct Merry Wives of Windsor, and
Okay.
so I have been listening to the audiobook version of the play. Just in some downtime is another way to access the material. So I love it, and there's narrators I love that I think are great. Ray Porter and McLeod Andrews and Christina Vam and a lot of these people that I think are Julia Whalen are really talented, and I have listened to their stuff, but I don't do it regularly just because of work.
Okay, makes sense. I have always wondered how the directorial process works in voice acting. Do you record live with a director for the whole project? I know we touched on this a little bit, and I think this is one of those ones where I asked the question, but
When I did the Heroic Hearts one-off story, Jim Butcher's collection with Kevin Hearn, I had a director for that because it's an anthology piece, and so they have a bunch of different narrators. So I think they want, and it's for Penguin, so they always pull out the stops and make it the best. So I had a director listening in from LA, listening in, and while I was recording and stopping if I made a mistake. But that is very rare. For the most part, it's just me. So the directing would come in this fine line of you're listening as you record to make sure you're hitting everything like a director would, but you can't overthink everything or else you get the signals mixed up, and it's very hard to do the performance and be over analytical. So you're kind of riding a fine line, and the director is always kind of in the back of your head saying, is this working? Is this working? Is this working? You know, that kind of thing.
right. Comment says it may go without saying, but please accept our sincere condolences wherever you are in the process of what you went through. It's in reference to your Unspoken
Thank
book.
you.
So.
Thank you. It is a process and it's lifelong, but I appreciate that. And just getting to say his name out loud means a lot. Anytime you've lost someone, it's a way to kind of keep them alive because they still feel alive in your heart. So
yeah,
I appreciate that. People are so kind. Thank you.
I said it when we were chatting about it during the show, but that book definitely, for me, it moved me, and I just thought it was a really amazing take on it, and it was inspiring
Thank you.
as a reader and a person that, because everybody has different things that they've gone through to cause grief, and so yeah, it
Right.
was just really amazing to go. This is such a great, inspiring way to look at it and to handle it, and to know that no matter what anyone's going through, there's still everyone's got grief and they've all got to deal with it, and to be able to try and remember that when you're dealing with anyone.
Yeah, you
So
never know what someone's story is, and it's oftentimes, if you knew, it's incredibly hard. So give them the benefit of the doubt, and give yourself the benefit of the doubt as well.
yeah, for sure.
Thanks, man.
What has been the most fun project that was not your own that you've worked on? What was your least favorite?
That was not my own that I worked on, so not the unspoken. I really enjoyed I enjoy doing Kevin Hearn stuff because it's like an old favorite jacket at this point. So when I get to slip back into those characters, I don't really have to think much. It feels very kind of a pure performance. I'm not really trying to figure out. I've got the tone and what he's doing. So those for me feel like wearing your favorite slippers and
Okay.
going back into them, being like, oh, I forgot about that. These are great. And I've really enjoyed getting to know the gaming world. I was never a huge gamer. I played Bond, but I was always stuck in the basement. Um, and my friends were like, "Hey, let's go kill Luke again. He's stuck in the basement." But I find I have a whole new respect for the culture in reading these books because I'm learning something totally new about systems and how these games work, and they're all about play and rules and development, and they're really great concepts. And I think they're this kind of undiscovered gem. So those have been fun because I it's almost like discovering a new genre, which for me it was. And so
Mhm.
that was exciting because it felt like being part of something new and with a lot of possibilities because it's fairly recent that we've been doing
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So it feels like wide open, which I really like. So that's been an experience that I've really enjoyed lately.
Awesome. Uh who is your favorite? Sorry, I'm reading this ad. This goes.
Uh-oh.
Who is your favorite character from the Iron Druid Chronicles, and why is it Oberon? But serious, many of us here enjoy it. Do you have a favorite that you like to voice?
They're all so good and they're so different. I really like Morrigan. I've gotten to a point where I can do her and it's not hurting me or doing anything that's rough, but I find it's that kind of arch character that's so fun to play. And really all those ones are so expressive. The coyote and that kind of slow cowboy drawl is always really fun. I like it because all the characters have such different tempos, which really helps to pace a scene. When you've got someone like Atticus who's talking like me in a normal way, and then all of a sudden we could just make everyone have to listen to this one and then someone, just the
Yeah,
dynamics of those are really fun. But yeah, my heart belongs to Oberon. We all.
I gotta laugh. And my wife is one of our moderators, and I know she's gonna hear this, and she's gonna shake her head at me for bringing it up. So you live in Michigan, so it gets cold where you're at, right?
Yeah, it sucks.
So
Yeah.
you do you ever come in and go, whoo, that's cold, kind of a thing?
Oh yeah,
We
all the
always come
time.
in when we come in from the cold. We come in, and I always go, whoo wee, and then I pause and I go, Mr. Druid, every time, every time.
Ooh-wee, Mr. Druid. Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, that I feel like at this time of year, my bones are just like I'm this close to breaking from brittleness.
Ugh.
So the cold is, I'm not very affected by it. And the worst part is when it's cold in the booth, and you have to take your sweatshirt off to go in because I got to record in as least fabric as
Yeah,
possible. And so you're like, oh God, it's so cold, and within 5 minutes
yeah, and you
it's so
can't run a
hot.
heater
So
in there because it's gonna pick it up.
yeah, no, no, no. I do have an air circulation system. That's the most important thing.
Wow. Yeah, you
You
don't. Yeah,
really don't want to be
that's a carbon
breathing your
dioxide
own
thing, right?
emissions. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. I was wondering why I was getting all these migraines and stuff, and figured out that was why I had really bad air.
Oh
But
wow.
yeah, yeah. So these small boxes, but yeah, they're fun to throw off. It's nice too because if you have someone to share this thing with, you have that kind of common lingo to throw back and forth. So it's a callback, but it's fun. I love it.
Do you do that at the house? You'll say quotes from stuff, and your kids will just shake your head at you.
Yeah, no, they don't. I don't get much. Yeah, they don't think it's very cool. Like the one cool thing I did that they thought was cool was American Dad, like I told you, but I recorded that over a year ago. So now it's turned not cool because they're like, "Didn't you? Was there ever the episode?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's coming out at some point." And they're like, "Yeah, right, sure." Yeah, yeah. So
Now, commenter person comments saying they had a family dog who had a British accent, Lord Beef Gibbington, and he loved to swear.
oh, that sounds fun.
Right?
Yes, it could be like Philip. Yes, Philip's the other one I love.
I
Oh, he's
I
just so rambunctious.
we talked about role playing beforehand, that kind of how this podcast kind of got started, and it goes back to role playing years ago. I had a wizard character that I played who's kind of the mascot of the podcast and the mascot of the stream,
Yeah.
and it comes from role playing. And so the intro of the podcast and the outro of the podcast is very much, kind of taken and derived from the Philip voice.
Oh, lovely,
So
lovely.
it's you know
I'll
he's
record
a
it for
wizard.
you. That'd be fun.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I'll take
oh,
you up on that offer.
yeah. That'd be fun. Yeah, any chance I get to do Philip, that's the one that I just want to talk like in my normal everyday life, but I can't get away with it.
Right.
So.
I know with vocal training, you learn how to protect your voice, but is there a voice that just fries you out?
Every once in a while, I'll do that. If there's like a giant demon or dragon, I'm like, oh, why not do that one voice? And it's, I talk like this as a very deep, that kind of thing. That's really tough. It's easy to do for snippets, but if it's a long section, the air control on that is really, really hard to keep that air and it will scratch. But that's really the only one. I try to stay away from one. If you're hurting your voice, more than likely the person listening is going to be uncomfortable and
Right.
then they're not going to listen to the story. So if you can't do it in a supported way, it's kind of going against what you're trying to get across. But that big one down here, it takes a lot of breath and it can only go. So I use it for like one-offs. If it's
Right.
like the ogre has one line of like, die, and do that. But if it's like he's going to have his whole exposition about how he got to the new space race, pick something else, Luke.
How do you deal with your voice? The voice, like say you've got a sore throat or you're losing your voice and you've got to record. How do you deal with keeping that on par? Obviously, that's your life. So
Stay healthy. That's the number one thing you can do. Stay healthy. If it gets bad, you just can't record. I've had to do it with stuffy noses before. That's really hard because it completely changes your entire inflection and your range is limited. So if you try to go high, you can't go high. I use Flonase. That helps if I've got sinus problems, just clearing things out. Shorter recording sessions because the voice can hold up, but it doesn't have the endurance. So if I'm struggling with a bug, I may be able to get 1 or 2 sessions in, or just one, before my voice is too tired. And I'm like, I'm too tired. So you still try to do a little bit, I guess, and see how the voice holds up. But if it goes, you just got to stop. Tea, all that stuff, throat coat, licorice root, all those things are great for that.
okay. Is there a genre or author that you would like to work with that you haven't yet?
Oh, I'd love to do Neil Gaiman. Oh my God, that would be the coolest thing in the world.
I wasn't going to ask you
Um,
about your interaction with him.
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
I'd
If you
save you
watch the
that.
other podcast,
I did.
yeah, no, it's a good story. But I'd love to do some of his stuff. Um, I again, like I said, I like the different stuff. I like romance is very kind of cleansing in a way and
Hmm.
fun. Doing some of those, but yeah, I think that would be good to do. I already got to do Kerouac, so that was like the bee in my bonnet that got fulfilled. But yeah, I think Gaiman would be my number one answer.
All right. Somebody asked a question that I asked. I didn't see it. They're asking about doing animated cartoons and whatnot.
Hmm.
Has anyone ever hit you up for doing Shakespeare? And more importantly,
I'm
can
dir-
you read Shakespeare as it was originally performed, like a pirate?
Yar.
Yeah.
Well, they are partly right because it was originally sounded. It sounded uh, kind of like an Irish Old English mix. Um, I studied Shakespeare a lot. I grew up on Shakespeare, so I have a very close relationship with it. I've done some. We did a fundraiser for the Here Now Festival a couple years ago, and I think I did some bits from Hamlet, just as like it was a free recording for charity, and
Okay.
so pulled some stuff from Hamlet and did a recording for that. I'm directing Merry Wives this summer in an outdoor Shakespeare theater in my hometown. So I love it. I geek out on it, but and I got to study it a lot in school. So reading it, I have the old folio, which is written in the Old English. You can get the gist, but it's a lot of work.
Right.
Yeah. But it's fun. I love it. Shakespeare's the best.
We were talking about comic book characters and who should be, and immediately in my mind, this person popped in my mind, and Rockheim here says the same thing. LOL. Suddenly, Booster Gold comes to mind for Luke doing voice acting.
Who's Booster Gold? I don't know that.
Booster Gold. Oh, you're gonna have to look up Booster Gold. He is.
Okay.
He is. He's from the future, and he's
Mhm.
trying to he tried to stop something, and he's like kind of stuck in the modern time, and he kind of is like the NASCAR driver of the Justice League, where he's got like all these sponsorships and stuff,
Oh, I
and he's
love
got
it.
like some futuristic powers because he wants to go back in time and like save the universe and be a superhero with all this futuristic technology. But
Uh-huh.
he's kind of like this really quirky. He's just really unique, and he's super funny. He's very funny, and
That's fun.
he's written
It's
kind
like,
of silly. Yeah.
yeah. See, I like that stuff. Yeah, the other ones for superheroes is the villains are always the most fun to play. Everyone knows that getting to be a bad guy is part of the best part of the job. So
Right. Somebody who is a friend of mine posted, just throwing this out there, Mr. Daniels. Nick usually hosts 4th of July at his house, and Michigan is not that far from Minnesota, so you can come see the koi pond.
yeah, I can take a lesson from the master, the koi master.
Yeah, my tween did ask, why are you watching Twitch when I first started? um, I think that's about it. I went back to see if there was any other little things that got missed. One of my moderators had to step out, so I was like, well, I'm gonna go and catch up and make sure nothing got missed while they were stepping away. So, Luke, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sticking around for our Q&A afterwards. The show will be live tomorrow for those watching, so you can go ahead and listen to that. If you only listened to part of it and only came in part of the way through, you can get it anywhere there are podcasts. So just look for us there. So we are going to do a raid. I have no idea where I'm going to send all of you. I know where I'm going to send all of you. Because it'll be fun. So we're going to send you all of our viewers, we're going to go and do a raid to the Twitch channel Dungeon Scrawlers, where they are a bunch of professional authors who are role-playing. So you've got Trevor Bettis, Aaron Evans, Eric Scott DeBee, and more. So we can all go and join them. So we'll start off that raid, and you guys can go there and hang out and chat with them and watch some role-playing. And Luke, thank you again so much for joining us today. I
Thanks
know
for having
everybody
me.
had a lot of fun, and hopefully I was able to ask you some questions that didn't get asked on every other podcast. So
No, you did great. I appreciate it. Good questions. Really
I appreciate it too, and we will see everybody down the road. So take care and have a good night, everyone.